Hello, my name is Danielle Koenig, and today I'm doing a presentation on Sophie Germain, who is an underrepresented mathematician. So a little bit of history on Sophie Germain. She lived from 1776 to 1831. She was born and died in Paris, France. And interestingly, she was a French philosopher, a physicist, and a mathematician. So she definitely had a lot of interests. Since this was in the 17 and 1800s, it's important to look at the role of women, both worldwide and in France. But all over, women at this time were seen as the weaker sex. They were mostly housewives. There were very few career opportunities, and they had to depend a lot on their father or husband for income and stuff like that. Specifically looking in France, during this time, or the start of the French Revolution, a lot of women were fighting for equal rights. They weren't achieved, but it was a really good start, and so that's really cool and good to keep in mind when thinking about Sophie Germain and her career. So specifically looking at Sophie Germain, she grew up in a somewhat wealthier family. It is said that her father was either a goldsmith or a wealthy silk merchant. He was also into politics, so she definitely overheard a lot of very deep discussions and stuff like that. As mentioned, she lived through the French Revolution. She was 13 when Bastille fell. So at that time, she was really stuck in her house a lot, and couldn't really get out. And that's when she started to develop a love for learning, and she used her father's library as a way to learn about math. But as this started, she started to face a lot of opposition from her family and society because she was a female looking into math and stuff like that. So that really ties into the setbacks due to her gender. When she was looking into math and studying and stuff, her parents, specifically her father, they were not thrilled about it because she was female, and they actually would take away her lamps and her books and stuff like that. But she would just get up in the middle of the night and study anyways, which is really cool. When she was older, she was also not allowed to attend École Polytechnique. Sorry if I said that wrong. But that is a higher education school, and because she was female, she couldn't go. Interestingly, it is said that she would get notes from friends who attended so that she could still learn. Sadly, when she would write papers or try to, talk to other mathematicians, specifically Carl Gauss, she would use the name Monsieur Leblanc to hide from prejudice so that people wouldn't know that she was female. And she was never able to develop an actual career in mathematics because she was a woman. So even though she was really interested and did stuff in math, she couldn't have an actual career, which is really too bad. So her specific accomplishments, she was the first woman in France to win a prize from the Paris Academy of Sciences, and this was for her work in elasticity, which was one of her interests. Her biggest accomplishment probably was how she outlined a strategy for a proof that dealt with number theory, and this had to do with Fermat's last theorem, and she wrote to Gauss, once again a mathematician, about the general proof, and we'll go more into the details on the next slide. But she also had philosophical works published, and she had a school named after her. So yeah, she definitely did a lot for her time era, which is really cool. So her specific contributions, as mentioned, they were in number theory, and one was called Sophie Germain's theorem, and this is it's on Wikipedia and other sources. It's saying how she developed a statement about divisibility for the equation below, and also the Sophie Germain prime, again within number theory. It's also known as a safe prime, and that's if p and 2p plus 1 are prime, then the p is known as a Sophie Germain prime. So those are her really big contributions in math. I just had a couple questions, about the presentation and stuff like that. So one would be, how could have Sophie's education and career been different if women were allowed an equal education? How does the French Revolution play a role in Sophie's interest in mathematics and science? What do you think would have happened if she used her actual name when she wrote papers instead of Monsieur Leblanc? Is the number 3 a Sophie Germain prime? Explain why or why not. Is number 25 a Sophie Germain prime? Explain why or why not. So I'll let you think about that for a little bit. You can pause it if you want. Just kind of, think about Sophie Germain and, the work that she did. And then here are the answers. They're not, of course, the first 3 are kind of more like what you think kind of answers, so this is just what I thought. Personally, I think that if she had an actual career in mathematics, she probably could have been able to discover a lot more within the field. But because she was female, she wasn't able to. And so even though she was a child during the French Revolution, I think that this would have a huge impact on someone's life. She was surrounded by strong females fighting for their rights, and I think that had a positive effect on her and helped her grow after her passion in sciences and math. And for number 3, I personally do not think she would have gained any recognition if people knew she was a female when she sent in her letters and proofs and stuff like that. It is said that she did tell mathematician Carl Gauss that she was female after the letter, but I think that if he knew beforehand, he would not have listened or given her any credibility. So looking at the number 3, this would be considered a Sophie Germain prime because 2 times 3 plus 1 is 7, and 7 is also a prime number. And then looking at the number 25, it would not be a Sophie Germain prime because 2 times 25 plus 1 is 26, and 26 is not prime. So these are just some of my citations that I used. And yeah, so that's about it. Thank you for listening. This was my project 2 for Math 106. And yeah, that's all. Thank you.